Hello, we are Team 9.4 and we will present to you our performance of 2017 for the Line Hotel. Our management team is composed of our Rooms Division Manager, Tobias, the Chief Marketing Officer, Jeanne, the Channel Manager, Chris, the Chief Pricing Officer, Elena, and I am the Chief Hotel Development Officer. Our hotel is 8 years old and is a full-service 4-star hotel, ideally located in the city center on a waterfront site. It is a business hotel with highest occupancy during weekdays. The hotel has 250 guest rooms that include 200 standards and 50 premium. The hotel also has one restaurant with 120 seats, a 50-seat bar and lounge, and a conference room for up to 200 people. Due to a steady performance decline in the past few years and the absence of the available financing, there have not been any refurbishments or capital investments. In January, we received a positive forecast and an increase in demand due to tax incentives attracting 12 companies coming to the area, increased regional jet services with airlines, a new civic and conference center, and the promotional budget for leisure travelers has tripled. They all contribute to a positive outlook, and business in town is becoming more prosperous. Considering this positive outlook, the ownership will help increase our competitiveness by making replacement reserve funds available and provide expertise in order to further increase the value of our hotel. The positioning strategy. Due to this background and to the given quality of the hotel, we decided to position ourselves as a low-price property while maintaining hotel standards and gradually increasing the general standard of the hotel property along with prices to then shift to mid-quality and slightly below average prices in the high season. For the pricing strategy, we chose undercutting as our pricing strategy, which means that we set our prices below the competitive set to penetrate the market space aggressively. We selected this strategy in order to retain customers, increase satisfaction and long-term revenues, and start with a high occupancy for the first months. Furthermore, we decided to target the following segments. During weekdays, we had bar, contracts, premium and guaranteed, and during weekends, bar, packages, tours, and small groups.
I'm now going to present you a quick overview of our yearly performance in terms of market index and profit contribution. I will also talk about the RFP. While our MPI was above the competitive set, we had a very low ARI and RGI of 95. As can be seen in the trends, we followed our strategy until the end of the year, while increasing our overall rates. This led to a slight decrease in occupancy, and as a result we had constant increase in the ADR, and the RGI finally went above the baseline in the last 2 months. Our monthly revenue increased continuously due to the steady growth in ADR throughout the year. When taking a closer look at the profit, as expected we started off with negative numbers in the first 2 months. We then had a continuous increase in monthly revenue together with a growing profit. Our GOP accounted to 35%, which was kept constant after the initial heavy investment in a business center, and therefore exceeded our expectations of the investors. However, we only reached an ROE of only 3.7%. The graph clearly shows that bar standards contributed to a very high profit contribution as well as large groups, which were unwillingly targeted in the beginning and then made up a huge amount of November's profit contribution due to the RFP. What's also interesting to see is that our highest profit contribution for each segment was not all in the same month. July and August were both very successful, though July had a highest profit contribution in total. Regarding the RFP, the Line Hotel clearly distanced itself from competing for any RFP during the first 3 quarters. Since our rates were quite low, we were not willing to accept lower rates for an RFP request. Additionally, the insecurity of the market, especially in the beginning of the year, was also not favorable for accepting RFPs. Instead, we focused on gaining transients displaced by the hotel who accepted the RFP request. In the last quarter, due to the low season, demand was expected to decrease, and therefore we decided to lower our rates to secure the group and increase our occupancy. As can be seen in the graph, the contribution in November did not differ from those in October or December, and therefore taking the RFP was neither successful nor unsuccessful. It can be assumed that transients displaced were made up by the RFP, but since the rate proposed was so low, it didn't increase our profit contribution either.
So I will now present a detailed analysis of each quarter, first in terms of market indexes and then in reputation management. In Q1, following our strategy, we started with a low bar rate and therefore the ARI index was as low as 75 in February, whereas our MPI went as high as 126. As can be seen here, in March, our already increased bar rates were more than $70 lower than those of the Arahat Hotel, which practiced the highest rates in this month. Overall, the first months were not as profitable as the following ones, as the business year was just starting and the market demand was overall quite low. In the second quarter, we decided to adapt our strategy and instead of penetrating the market, try to undercut, which means to have only slightly lower rates than the competition. This resulted in an RGI close to the baseline in April and an increased ARI of up to 84. The MPI was still very high, which aligned with our strategy to maximize occupancy. The occupancy reached a seasonal high of 81%, even though MPI slightly decreased. Overall, Q3 was high season, and following our strategy, we should have been fully booked. However, due to the low level of guest satisfaction, as our facilities and services were not competitive yet, the low prices could not make up for this loss in customers, leading to only a slight increase in the ARI in August. Overall, our indexes were below 1, although this should have been the month with most demand. In August, we practiced our highest bar rate, but were still very much below the average in the competitive set. For the third quarter, the forecast pattern changed towards a higher demand on weekends than on weekdays. Therefore, we adapted our pricing strategy into higher prices on weekends than on weekdays. This stimulated demand during the weekdays and maximized revenue during the weekends. In Q4, as the occupancy was expected to decrease, we also decreased our rates, which led to a lower ARI. Thanks to the RFP group in November, we were able to reach an RGI of above 1 for the first time. In November, however, other business was lost but regained in the last month. We did not invest in facilities and refurbishment in the first few months. Guest satisfaction decreased and reached its low in April, where most categories were below 55%. In April, we also had the least amount of facilities and services in comparison to our competitive set. After we had invested in the business center and the travel and tour desk, as well as valet parking, in the end of the second quarter, guest satisfaction of facilities increased, but were still not competitive enough. Only after the implementation of retail shops and a lobby kiosk did the satisfaction of facilities reach 50%, which is acceptable. Services were gradually improved and reached above 90% in the last quarter. We still believe that it can be a good strategy to decide on fewer but more expensive long-term investments as compared to constant quick fixes.
I will present the analysis and findings of this year's performance. As discussed, we chose a strategy to maximize occupancy. However, when looking at the forecast, the lowest bar rate should be between 150 and 194. We started with 125, which was too low to be competitive. But we did generate high occupancy with our strategy, as our MPI was always above 1 and were therefore successful in this point. As previously mentioned, we decided to lower prices on weekends as the expected demand was lower as well. Also, we chose to target different segments for weekdays and weekends. For example, we only targeted contracts throughout the week. Looking at the year-to-date numbers, this turned out to be a smart decision as we sold 5 times as many rooms to contract throughout the week as compared to on weekends. Taking a look at the market indexes, it was only in February, April, July, and November that we were able to increase the prices and occupancy simultaneously. As previously mentioned, this was partly due to the high demand for the month of July and the large group we got in November. Therefore, our increase in prices usually resulted in a decrease in occupancy, which means we were not able to make up for the increase in price with an increase in quality, which was our initial strategy. Also, the low ARI could not be compensated with the high occupancy, instead, as the RGI at the end of the year was at 0.95, meaning there was more potential in the market. We set up all our prices in relation to our bar rate. So for example, we set the guaranteed rates at always at 5% cheaper compared to the current bar rate. However, we never actually went back and analyzed or changed these factors throughout the year, which could have been helpful in trying to target specific segments. Our fair market share throughout this year was 11.1%. However, we aimed for higher percentages for our target segments, which more specifically were, for a quick reminder, for weekdays, bar guaranteed contract and premium, and for weekends, bar package, tour, and small groups. Due to our overall low price strategy, however, and the resulting high occupancy, we nearly always reached these 11.1% for all segments. However, the percentages were not actually higher for the targeted segments. This can only be explained by inefficient marketing and low customer satisfaction, as our prices definitely were competitive. For channel management and trigger points, we worked with the data provided, more specifically with the forecasted demand for each segment and channel. and when comparing to the rooms sold throughout the year, the percentages were very close. We set our trigger points in line with our pricing strategy, meaning even if we were to reach a trigger point, we still did not want to deviate from our low price strategy. We set our trigger points to above 85%. We expected high occupancy, especially in the third quarter. However, we never actually passed the 85%. Therefore, looking back, we believe we should have set our trigger points to above 75%, especially as our prices are already low. For marketing, we chose to invest 6% of the previous month's room revenue into marketing and focus on our target segments. We distributed our budget according to our target segments and the expected demand for each channel, making a clear distinction between weekdays and weekends. However, we missed to take certain information into account, for example that tour and contract guests do not value marketing and advertising as much as other segments. Also, we did not understand how to properly analyze our marketing activities until around the end of the second quarter. Therefore, our marketing was quite ineffective in the first 2 quarters with low positioning. This probably had an immediate effect on our sales volume. Starting in the third quarter, we tried to stay around the 4th place and higher by focusing on fewer segments. We also believe that not all hotels in our competitive set follow this max 6% rule proposed on the background information of the hotel, and we therefore need to increase our marketing investment to above 9% in order to reach competitive levels of marketing and advertising so we can properly reach our customers. Then lastly, for the facilities, services, and refurbishments, in the first quarter, we wanted to invest in more capital-heavy facilities and complete refurbishments and therefore try to save up funds. However, in the second quarter, we decided to start investing in smaller services and facilities as we needed to increase our quality and guest satisfaction. In the third quarter, we then finally started with refurbishments. These investments should have been done earlier on to increase occupancy and overall profitability as we were not competitive.
Due to the previously mentioned mistakes in analysis, I'm going to recommend the following points of improvement for the future of the property. The short-term changes we would introduce in the property are the following. As it was extremely hard to invest in long-term refurbishment and facilities, as our available funds were always too low, with the reserve fund we would get of 500,000 at the beginning of the new year, we recommend to start off the first quarter with some long-term investments. For instance, the spa, the gym, renovate guest rooms, and long-term increased quality. We have to continue to further analyze the marketing strategy and improve it by clearly targeting fewer segments for both weekends and weekdays. From the beginning, we coordinated our prices as a ratio for our bar rate. However, except for changes of occupancy between weekends and weekdays in the third quarter, we never adjusted the ratios based on our occupancy and channel distributions of the previous months. This should instead have occurred and should occur on a monthly basis. To do this, we also have to consider which segments we truly want to target each month. For instance, our main targets would be bar standard, premium, as we aim at reaching high quality, and lastly, large groups. And all 3 are different from our original targets. Long-term wise, we have identified that it is more profitable to be high price and low occupancy. Therefore, we would continue with our original strategy and keep increasing our prices. We therefore recommend to aim towards a high quality and high prices positioning in order to truly be competitive. Also, the property should periodically invest in facilities and refurbishment with a more careful manner. Complete refurbishment should occur in the restaurant and meeting rooms that constantly had a low reputation. Well, how will we start the first quarter of the next year? Firstly, we would increase prices to get up the averages of the competitive set, therefore being more aggressive. This has proven to be a winning strategy by both Memo and Hamsky hotels. For our marketing strategy, we should focus on fewer segments. For weekdays, focus on bar and premium, and for weekends, focus on packages and bar. We should also be more careful and take into account all existing forecasts available for the coming year.